Tass, who won last week or where we're going next week, I will just say this. At some point, he and I will be enjoying refreshments somewhere off the coast of Costa Rica or somewhere cool, hopefully before we die. But we've had some fun together over these 2 decades. Being that it is my Thanksgiving and a Thanksgiving period of time here, I want to invite my friend and one of the gifts to me of the great yoga and my yogi, the great Brian Baldinger, joins us now live from First Place, Philadelphia, or at least the suburbs, somewhere over there in the swamps of Marlton. Baldy, what's going on up there? They got parade fever up there in Philadelphia, don't they?
They do. I think they've already begun some organizing, some parade route down Broad Street and all the way into Lincoln Financial Field. Nasty.
I would never be able to suffer that. I would never be able to suffer that as a Baltimore.
No, I'm invited. Look, if they haven't, Nasty, you're invited. We'll make the trip. And if it gets nauseous for you, we'll just come to my house and we'll have a good time.
You know what I'll do? I'll pick Flacco up there in Audubon, and we'll cross the bridge together.
He'll be at Jaws' golf course or one of his golf courses that they share together. And if it's a nice day, we'll go play some links together.
Dude, I've already got my entree to the next time I see Flacco. I'm saying, dude, I'm blaming you for everything that's going on in Philadelphia. I'm going to hold you personally responsible. Hey, you know what? I will say this, though. Look, there's a lot of miserable people up there in Philadelphia. We've all encountered them. You live amongst them as well. And but there is something for the miserable people as well as the happy, joy people that are good people up there, all 6-7% of them, whatever it is, that everything tastes a little better, right? The cheesesteaks are a little better. The beers are a little good. They love the Eagles there, and there's never been this kind of mid-season prosperity. Maybe going back to Randall Cunningham, there were a couple of those. McNabb, maybe a little bit of that as well. But this is a special thing as the holidays roll in a place where they've never had a parade for a Super Bowl.
This feels different, Nasty. Even 2004 with T.O. and McNabb, and they won the NFC that year. I mean, this even feels different than that. I mean, people literally they come up to me, Nasty, and they go, they can't believe that Carson Wentz is an Eagle. Like, they can't believe that this phenom that fell out of football heaven into South Philadelphia could be their quarterback. They don't quite know what to do because you're right. They've never really had something this tangible and real, and it feels real right now, Nasty. I mean, they're winning these games handily. They're taking care of business. This last 4 home games they've had, the game's been over at halftime. I mean, Carson's thrown 2-3 touchdown passes in the first half of these games against Denver, Arizona. I mean, they're just wiping these teams up so easily. So, it's going to take the right team, the right matchup, the right day, and they're going to see 2 teams in Seattle and Los Angeles Rams the next 2 weeks out in the West Coast where, like the NFL is supposed to. You get something more revealed about your team each week as the season goes on.
He is Baldy NFL. You can follow him anywhere the National Football League travels. He's usually there. He's also on NFL Network very, very frequently. He's made a little time out of the First Place schedule up there in Philadelphia to visit with us, and we're always appreciative of that. Wentz and everything that's gone on there post-Chip Kelly and all the shenanigans and all the changes and all the uniqueness that Chip Kelly brought with him. Run me through this because you're closer to that organization than most people. And, obviously I have a great relationship with my dear friend Jimmy Schwartz. I did text Schwartz after the game, and I told him, dude, electric slide, man. Come on, man. I mean, you don't want that on your resume. You know what I mean? You don't want that to be your legacy. You got to come up with something better than that, dog. You know what I mean? But that being said, this is a lot about Schwartz and a lot about the defense and a lot about the owner and a lot about even Roseman and the decision to hire a quarterback kind of mind, and everything after Andy was a little murky there, wasn't it?
Well, they went through the Chip Kelly era, and it was a good start, but it just, it flamed out, and he took control of personnel, he made poor decisions, and it went sideways. But, you're 2 good friends now. I mean, Joe Douglas and Andy Weidel got a big hand in all of this. I mean, the Eagles would not be in first place with this gaudy record without Joe Douglas and Andy. I mean, those guys know how to build a locker room, Nasty, and you've been in a lot of locker rooms, a lot of winning locker rooms, and you know what it feels like. And when you get bad guys and guys that are me guys and selfish guys, it never works, ever. Not at this level. And so they've really cleaned it up, and they've got a bunch of guys all rolling in the same direction, to use a bad cliche. But they've been a big part of it. But it has turned since Carson got here. He He's different, Nasty.
Why him? Give me that whole thing, because, I mean, you were at the front door of Aikman. I mean, you've been at the front door of all these guys covering the league, whether you were in the huddle, in the locker room, or, in the meetings before games you were doing. You've seen the look in a young Kurt Warner's eyes that you figure out he's a Hall of Famer, as well as all these busts. I mean, that is the greatest job in this sport, right? Knowing the difference between a Matt Stafford and a Joey Harrington, knowing the difference, as Joe Douglas did, between a Joe Flacco and a, I don't know, make up any guy that didn't make it in the league, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this guy's makeup, it's, everybody's trying to reveal another side. There's really nothing to reveal. I mean, he's in the building at 5. He knows what he's looking at. He's got a routine, whether it's pregame on the field. You're just not going to interrupt his routine. There's no amount of success that he could possibly garner that would change anything about him. He likes the routine. He likes the build-up. He likes loading the robot every week and then being able to go take the test on the field on Sunday. And, he keeps getting better. And last week, I was just talking to John DeFilippo, the quarterback coach for him, who's going to be a head coach in this league, Nasty, I got to tell you. But I was talking to Flip, and,
By the way, every time I've known you 2 decades, and every time you've ever said that, you've been right, by the way. So, yes. So I am taking notes on that. We have a track record now,
Okay. Well, I said it about Sean McVay. I'll say it about DeFilippo. I'll say it about these guys. They have it. But I was just talking to him, and last year, when after a fast start by Carson, Doug Peterson kind of went public and saying that, Carson needs to work on some mechanics. It's not a finished product, and Carson kind of buckled towards it all, and he didn't take it kindly, and he didn't sit well with them. But at the end of the year, John DeFilippo sat down with them and he said, "Look, this stuff that we're saying about you is real. Like, your feet have got to get better. Your footwork it starts there." And Carson, to his credit, he took it, and he took it well, and he worked on it. And if you watch his feet, every time he changes his progression, I mean, he looks like Drew Brees and Tom Brady playing the position right now. He resets his feet. He's strong as an ox. He's smart as a whip. And, and now his footwork is really good. And so it's all coming together, and he's got much better talent around him this year. And he's been through the league like a pitcher going through the lineups. He's been through the league. He kind of knows what to look at, how they play. And there's not a lot that he can't handle right now. He's an extremely talented player, but it starts with his preparation every week. It doesn't change.
We all go to Indianapolis, and I've seen you out there running around the combine, and, everybody's trying to find whatever the diamond in the rough, and everybody's trying to get into the psychological profile. They're knocking on guys' knees. They're checking their heart. They're checking, they're checking everything, literally, rectally about football players. But the one thing you can't stick, the stick in and check is the ticker and the heart, and more than that, loving football. And, I would just say this about you, and I know the way you grind at this part of the business, and I've known you for 2 decades. I didn't know you as a player. I know you lasted a long time, in the league, and part of that is loving football, right? Like I think you're a guy that loves a lot of part of life. If I think anybody that knows you knows that about you, you love everything that you love, whether it's beaches or music or food or whatever it is. But loving football when you're there and not having a lot of other hobbies, not really being into rap music or being into the beach too much or the girls too much or the booze too much or whatever, the video games, whatever it is, loving football and having that be the centerpiece of everything. When I think of Peyton Manning, and I think this of Tom Brady, despite the model wife and all the other, sort of off-the-field things that he does have interest in, this is a real nerd's thing to be a quarterback in this league, and that's how you you can't have a lot of hobbies other than the things that make you a better football player, right?
No, listen, everything you just said is gospel. It's truth. Nasty really is. Tom Landry used to tell us when I played for the Cowboys that there's no time to enjoy the season. The only time to enjoy the season is in the off season for a brief little window. That's it. You got to love it. And there's, and if you don't love it, it always comes out. It always gets revealed.
Because it's so hard, right? I mean, it's so hard.
But it is hard, but there is just an awful lot that you have to do. You've got to take care of yourself. You got to be mentally tough. You got to block out the noise. You got to prepare. Every week is a new week. People were saying here in Philadelphia, trap game between, the Bears in Seattle. I'm like, Carson Wentz doesn't believe in any trap games. Players that love the game, they don't even think like trap games. I mean, it's just a phrase that fans look at and players that don't love the game look at. If you love the game, you look at it, you give everybody respect, you prepare the same way every week, and you just don't let anything slip through the cracks. And that's who Carson is. You're right. He doesn't. He likes to go hunting. That's his time when he can kind of reflect and clear the mind, and it's a great little hobby for him. But that's it. I mean, he's got his girlfriend, he's got his family, he's got his growing charity, things that he does. But other than that, it's football. And that's what he loves. And he loves his teammates. And he loves competing more than anything else. When he misses a throw in practice, you know that he's ticked off about it. If Jalen Mills tips a pass in practice, Jalen's all happy. And Carson wants to go, stick a knife in his throat. That's how he is.
He is Brian Baldinger. Baldy, NFL is the way to find him out on Twitter as well. Last thing on Wentz, and we'll get to the Ravens because I do want to talk about that and the Lions and some Baldy travels into Springsteen on Broadway and a bunch of other things. I don't know how much of this we're going to get to, Baldy. But I would say this on the Wentz thing, and I learned this early on through my relationship with from everybody from Marvin through you and everybody on about coaching in this league, that it can only be so good at the North Dakota State level, and you get in and you bring up the offseason and the tough talk and the honest talk and the I'm not just going to blow smoke up your rectum about what kind of player you are. I'm going to tell you what you need to do differently to make you the player you can be. And when you get that at the highest level in this league from any coach, I mean, there are very few unqualified coaches. Some are better than others, and some have other off-the-field issues as Chris Foerster and other people. But by and large, as far as technicians in the science of how to do this and how to be an offensive lineman, as you did for a decade and a half, every small school kid can come into the NFL, as well as every kid from Alabama who's been in the Saban program, and learn something new from a coach, because this isn't really about coaching. It's really about teaching, right, and improving for these players.
Well, it is. And, I mean, there's no better example than Jared Goff in Los Angeles right now with Sean McVay. I mean, there wasn't an analyst out there that thought Jared Goff had what it took to be a top-level quarterback in this league. But with the right coaching and the right system and the right teaching, Jared Goff is a good player. He has a chance to be a great player because he's with a great coach. And, when you get that combination and you get the player to buy in, it can change your fortunes. And so Jared Goff is he's experiencing that right now. That's a great thing for the league because we need great quarterbacks in this league. But that's the difference in his business, is coaching, and we'll see how long. I mean, John Gruden did it for a long time, but he would wear out his welcome with players and quarterbacks. We'll see, how Jared handles it. We saw, sometimes there's a pushback after so many years with the coach and the player, but right now, you can see the difference what coaching makes in this league when you look at no further than Jared Goff.
All right, well, around here, Baldy, they like to pick on Harbaugh and Flacco and Ozzie, especially when things aren't going well. And at 5-5, and at 4-5, it's even worse. But win in Green Bay, a win at home on Monday night with 30,000 empty seats here, and I'm, Baldy, I'm doing the deep dive into that. I mean, the psychology of all of this and buying tickets and not using them, and the knee and the right side and the left side, and the the night games and the early mornings and the saturate, all of that stuff. So I'm working on all of that as a part-time endeavor. But then there's the fact that it's so ugly to watch the team play, and they're winning right now. I don't know if you buy in or you buy in that the offense can get better. Certainly, everybody buys into the defense at this point. But backup quarterbacks, and to your point, we need good quarterbacks in this league. They're going to see Deshaun Kaiser. They're going to see Jacoby Brissett down the end. But they're also going to see Matt Stafford this week. And this is where it's gotten a little more difficult with a better quarterback and a better receiving crew. But there's much to recommend this defense, but I don't know that there's much to recommend the Ravens as a Super Bowl contender.
Well, it's tough with that offense right now, Nasty. I mean, there's only so far you can go when, you play good defense and, obviously last night the special teams, the fake punt. There's only so far, they got the best kicker. I mean, there's only so far you can go when you play that style. But, I mean, if you look at the way Ozzie's built a team, that's how he's built the team. All the resources, I mean, Tony Jefferson with his interception, Eric Weddle, I mean, the whole team has been built on defense. All the resources go to defense. The draft picks, the free agency, the money has gone to defense. So maybe that happens when you got to pay the quarterback Super Bowl, MVP type money. Maybe that's what happens. And the offense is an afterthought. But, with the injuries up front, with the defections of free agency, it's just not a good offense. And I don't know what it's like for Joe Flacco to get out of bed every morning. I know it's a struggle. I know the back is bad. I don't know what he has to do in order to get himself ready to even play. But he's not the same guy that won a Super Bowl, 5 years ago. He's not the same player right now. And some of it is the pieces around him aren't as good. The offensive line certainly is as good as it was. And the tight end, the receiving core isn't the same as what it was. And so it's hard to watch that offense. But, they're going to have a chance to win 10 games before this is all out. I don't know if 10 they get, but 9 might get you in the playoffs, might get you a wild card spot this year.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs because they've lost to DeShone Kizer or they've lost to Jacoby Brissett at home or Marvin comes in and beats them on New Year's Eve to keep them out of the playoffs, they probably get what they deserve. But this Detroit game will be this Detroit game is the real determination on that. I'm just assuming they're going to lose and play well in Pittsburgh, right? That's just kind of would be par, and if they beat Pittsburgh, that's a whole different level of, I guess, of expectation for them in January. But I don't expect them to run the table, but they might, and you see what a team like the Chargers is doing right now, and Baldy, you see what a team like the Chiefs doing right now. We're all crowning your Eagles up there in Philadelphia or Minnesota or the teams that are playing well right now. I'm interested in the teams that can be playing well a month from now, and I don't know if it can be the Ravens, but I do know that they can win these games, and they can all be ugly. And even Flacco after the game on Monday night sort of acknowledged, well, if we're a team that wins with defense and by not screwing up on offense, I just like winning. Winning's the idea here, that you don't need to chuck it around and duck it around, but running the football right now would be helpful. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, look, there's, John Madden used to say that, the season doesn't really start until there's a frost on the pumpkin, and there was a frost of mine, out there today, and that's about right now. You're in the stretch run. Thanksgiving's come and gone. It's 5 games left. You hit December, and, you find out what you're made of. The weather changes, the field changes, the injuries